Shalom. Shalom and welcome. Welcome to the final Exodus readiness. Final Exodus readiness is a message to those who are considered to be set apart. Yasharal. My name is Symmanayah, and this is part 8. And due to the length of this recording, this message, I have broken it into two parts, part A and part B. It is a message that only you can determine whether it is for you or not. For I believe set apart Yasharal, aka Israel, is represented by both Hebrews and Gentiles that are made one by Yahusha Mashiach. With that said, let's get started. This segment focuses on the word plan. The word plan. I say to you again, shalom and welcome. My name is Symmanayah. Take a moment. Ask yourself, what comes to mind when you hear the word plan? Just a simple word, plan. What comes to mind? Now I invite you to ask someone or others what comes to mind when they hear the word plan. I submit to you, O Yasharal, two distinct meanings of the word plan, which will be reflected in this title. One, plan as a noun that describes a proposal, one that presents, that could describe a strategy, an idea, a proposition, an action point. That plan as a noun. Plan as a verb, which requires action, decide on, arrange in advance, with synonyms such as workout, design, outline, map out, prepare, schedule, formulate, frame, develop. The word plan can be a descriptor or an action word. Now, I'm not here trying to present to you, O Yasharal, a lesson in language. I am merely saying that when we hear the word plan, it can have multiple meanings. If given a choice, would you just put, let me digress just a little bit, and I ask your patience, and I think this sets the stage to somewhat prep for this segment. And soon, and very soon, one day, we may grow to appreciate how sometimes being wordy gives us more strength and fuel as it is set alive by the Spirit of Yahusha. So, with that, let me bring you to this. Indulge me for a little bit, my brothers and sisters. If given a choice, would you just put a little bit of fuel, whether it's gas, diesel, or a small charge for an electric vehicle, if you own such a vehicle, would you just put a little fuel in it? Would you just charge it a little bit if you had the choice? It is my position that a full tank can oftentimes take you further than one that sits close to empty, regardless of what is used to fuel such a vehicle. This could also be said for our bodies as it relates to drinking water. The better position would be for those who drink enough water versus those who shy away from drinking fresh water. With these words said, who among us is aware that the word, the scriptures, can also be represented by water? Consider these words, my brothers and sisters. Ephesians 5:18-21. They read as follows: do not be drunk with wine, in which is loose behavior, but be filled with the Spirit, speaking to each other in psalms and songs of praise and spiritual songs, singing and striking the strings in your heart to the Master, giving thanks always for all to the Almighty Father, in the name of our Master Yahusha HaMashiach, subjecting yourselves to each other in fear of the Almighty One. You see, my brothers and sisters, many miss when it says subjecting yourselves to one another. See, if the Almighty Father works in us, one towards another, and through his chosen leaders, that will require us subjecting ourselves to one another. Is it subjecting ourselves to the self, the flesh of another? No. It's subjecting ourselves to the Mashiach spirit working within another towards us, or us towards another. But I want you to look back at Ephesians 5:18 where it says, be filled with the Spirit. Filled, my brothers and sisters. There's a point, and I will share with you how it relates to this subject, plan. Also in Ephesians 1, verse 9 through 11, reads, and this I pray that your love might extend more and more in knowledge and all discernment, for you to examine the matters that differ in order to be sincere and not stumbling into the day of Messiah, being filled with the fruit of righteousness through Yahusha Messiah, to the esteem and praise of the Almighty One. I also want to add, my brothers and sisters, how it says in Philippians 1:11, being filled with the fruit of righteousness through Yahusha Mashiach. Let me also bring to mind Ephesians 5:25 through 27. It says, husband, love your wives as Messiah also did love the assembly and gave himself for it, in order to set it apart and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, in order to present it to himself a splendid assembly, not having spot or wrinkle or any of this sort, but that ye might be set apart and blameless. I could also go to the parable with the maidens in the oil, but for the sake of time, I encourage you to look at that if you're not familiar with that. When it came to the time when the Mashiach was about to return, and we see the example given about the maidens who didn't, some had oil in their lamps and some did not. And so I say to you, let me find that passage. I won't read it, but I'll say this. Chapter 25 of Matthew, the 25th chapter of Matthew, discuss the matter of those who had their lamps filled and those who did not. Move right along, O Yasharal. Set apart, Yasharal. I submit to you that it would be wise to pray that you're able to discern and see how this segment, talking about the word plan, has some relationship to the need to fill up. In other words, to get as much as you can regarding wisdom and set apart instructions while we can. I therefore encourage you to listen to these words with patience. Lean your ear with the intent to discern whether there's life in these words or not. For I am compelled to believe that Amos chapter 8, verse 11 and 12 has begun. For those of you who may not be familiar with it, it reads as follows. See, days are coming, declares Master Yahuah, that I shall send a hunger in the land, not a hunger for bread, nor a thirst for water, but for the hearing of the words of Yahuah. And they shall wander from sea to sea, from north to east. They shall diligently search, seeking the word of Yahuah, but they shall not find it. I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, there are many who are experiencing this as I speak, as the clock ticks. There are many individuals who desire to teach and speak and take positions of leadership, many that are confident but are confidently wrong. And as the ranks swell with growing numbers of individuals teaching what they believe to be true, teaching oftentimes their misconceptions, their misinterpretation of scriptures. As these ranks swell and get large, my brothers and sisters, it is overshadowing what is true. It is outnumbering for the moment what is indeed true. So many people have a position of belief, so many conflicts. We see this happening, my brothers and sisters. So I say to you, a famine of the word, people are going sea to sea. Look, there are brothers that are buying books from overseas or books that they believe are ancient books and that are searching across the ocean for different languages and seeking out, trying to discern and decipher what the word is saying, what the life in the scriptures are saying to us. I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, there's a famine. And if you doubt this is related to famine, consider this. If you had a grain of wheat in a bucket of sand, and you didn't see that grain of wheat, it could lead to the assumption that there is no food in that bucket. And if this was widespread, it can lead to the assumption or perception that we have a lack of food, when indeed it may be a kernel of wheat buried in the buckets of sand. You might say, what are you talking about, Symmanayah? I'm saying this. Just as people are misinterpreting the scriptures and reading the words and presenting their different interpretations and positions of belief, they're overshadowing what is true. But know this, the Most High has promised to refine his children, to discipline his children, to make known his words, to bring to life what is indeed truth. Given that this segment is about the word plan as a noun and as a verb, are we prepared to demonstrate the fortitude and strength and patience to possibly fill up, to possibly get as much as we can before we find ourselves in the midst of a growing famine of the word? But to those who seek diligently to discern the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah, we will witness that even in spite of the groundswell of individuals teaching falsely, deliverance comes, for it is promised. I encourage each and every one to be very prayerful as you listen to this segment. I have no doubt that we can agree that the word plan has multiple meanings. Oftentimes we communicate with one another. We may not always be on the same page, even when using the word plan. In one instance, we could be using a word to describe something, while another could be using the word plan in an effort to encourage us to take action. Believe it or not, my brothers and sisters, our demonstration or actions can be challenged if we're not on the same page, if we don't understand what we're saying to one another, if we are arguing and debating. It is important to know the importance of talking apples to apples, oranges to oranges, so to speak. In other words, getting on the same page. And I believe as end times get intense, we, O Yasharal, will understand the importance of the word plan as it relates to the plan of Abba Yahuah for his children. We will discern that in Abba Yahuah's plan, in our Father Yahuah's plan, through his set-apart spirit sent in Yahusha's name, that each and every one of us will have a plan as we take our steps going forward. In our plans individually, we will find ourselves coming together to a more collective plan to ultimately fulfilling the ultimate plan of the Almighty Father for his children. I encourage you to embrace and utilize the need to discern his plan. It is necessary, my brothers and sisters. I have mentioned often that forced migrations are coming. Do you have a plan? Do you have a plan for moving forward as the Spirit of Yahusha direct? The dynamics of the word plan are critical in the coming days. Do we have transportation? Do we know what clothes we would wear? Do we know what foods to take? Do we know when we're to leave? Do we know the intermittent stops before we arrive at that final destination to those who will indeed be in the ranks of the final gathered? I believe with all my heart, body, and soul, my brothers and sisters, that Abba Yahuah will prove that every individual will have a plan. Those who are drawn of him, those who are set apart, we will witness a plan given to each of us. And we will know that that plan will come to be knitted and grafted and mended together into a grander plan, a plan of the Almighty Father. It will be wise, O Yasharal, to discern that a set-apart plan starts out with a vision. Remember, the Most High indeed gave instructions to Noah for building the ark. And if you listen to the instructions that he gave, it is also evident that you can envision what the Most High had Noah to do in order to save Noah and his family, in order to give opportunity for life, for restoration, in order to fully execute his plan. A plan has a vision. Who is aware of Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 1 through 3? It reads as follows: I stand at my watch and station myself on the watchtower and wait to see what he says to me And what to answer when I am reproved? And Yahuah answered me and said, write the vision and inscribe it on tablets, so that he who reads it runs, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, and it speaks of the end, and it does not lie. If it lingers, wait for it, for it shall certainly come, and it shall not delay. Patience, my brothers and sisters. Patience. Let us seek to discern what is expected. Let us seek to identify the plan that the Most High have for us individually and collectively. A plan begins with a vision. Who is aware of Proverbs 29:18? Proverbs 29:18. It reads as follows: where there is no vision, the people are let loose. Some versions of scripture will say, where there's no vision, the people perish. It goes on to say, blessed is he who guards the Torah. That was Proverbs 29:18. There must be vision, and there will be vision, and there is vision among the obedient of Yahuah. Acts chapter 2, verse 17 and 18 reads, and it shall be in the last days, said the Almighty One, that I shall pour out my spirit on all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy, young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams, and also my male servants and my female servants. I shall pour out my spirit in those days, and they shall prophesy. Do you believe within the vision and within the dream comes plans, my brothers and sisters? What would be the purpose of a vision? What would be the purpose of a dream if it did not contribute to the plan that the Most High has for his children? Jeremiah 14:14 says, then Yahuah said to me, the prophets prophesy falsehood in my name. I have not sent them, nor commanded them, nor spoken to them. They are prophesying to you a false vision, worthless divination, and deceit of their own heart. Believe it or not, O Yasharal, there are many who seek to teach and preach and present their interpretations of end-time prophecies. And many among us have not been sent by the Most High. And as the days grow near, those who are called, who are drawn by the power and might of the Almighty Father, will recognize those whom he has sent to present his plan, to contribute to the bringing together, the fulfillment of his plan. Jeremiah 23:16 says, thus said Yahuah of hosts, do not listen to the words of the prophets who prophesy to you, that lead you astray. They speak a vision of their own, not from the mouth of Yahuah. Again, there are false prophets, my brothers and sisters. Everyone is not correct. If we were, there would not be the conflict we see today. Ezekiel 13:3 says, thus says the Master Yahuah, woe to the foolish prophets who are following their own spirit without having had a vision. It is important, O Yasharal, that we begin to recognize the reflection of Yahuah in us, working through us one towards another. It is important that we understand that it begins with a vision. It begins with him making known to us what is expected, allowing us to see and visualize and to respond to him. Who is aware of the life in 2 Corinthians 3:6, which says, who also made us competent as servants of a renewed covenant, not of the letter, but of the spirit. For the letter kills and the spirit gives life. In other words, my brothers and sisters, we can read what is written. We can hear what is spoken. But I say to you, O Yasharal, it is imperative that we recognize it is the spirit of Yahuah that gives life to the things that go before us, including the visions, including the dreams, including the plans. The coming days will prove how many people became entangled in the letter while ignoring the importance of discerning the life in the scriptures. As a result of such actions, we continue to see various interpretations of scriptures that conflict versus discerning how to keep the scriptures whole, how to read, understand, and discern the scriptures where they do not conflict. But when we see conflicting positions of belief in conflict among the interpretation of scriptures, someone is wrong. Correction comes, O Yasharal. End times are here. There are no doubt among set apart Yasharal that the time will soon come for movement. As I state often, I am compelled to believe there will be those who will be as first fruits in the vineyard. In other words, there will be those who will move sooner than others. I'm compelled to believe that in forced migrations, we will find ourselves gathering at points intermittently, with numbers growing and enlarging until we reach that set apart destination, that set apart mountain of the Almighty Father. The promises written in the scriptures, the Almighty Father, regarding discipline and refinement, vengeance and wrath, they will come to be, they will be fulfilled. And I submit to you, they have begun. But there are those among us who believe there will be a final exodus, a gathering from the four corners of the earth before the physical return of Yahusha HaMashiach. And among the ranks of those, and I consider myself one who believes that he will indeed gather us from the four corners of the earth before. Now, do I know for sure it would be me? I believe so. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. Until such time, we shall see. Everyone, oftentimes, who believe in the final exodus desire to be among the ranks. And some, maybe not so much, in fear of crossing the ocean on a ship or in fear of flying. But to those who are drawn by the Most High to fulfill such gathering, proof will come in due season. While we may agree on the broader plan, such as the gathering from the four corners of the earth, while we may agree that there will be those that will return to the promised land, where the division lies is when it comes to the details, the specifics. When it comes to asking questions with words that start with questions that start out with words such as how, when, with whom, what directions. Will it be intermittent movement? Will we move from one city to the next before massively crossing the ocean or crossing the borders of another country for those who do not have to cross a massive ocean? My brothers and sisters, the days where our beliefs will be tested are upon us. It is important to begin to plan, begin to prepare. Living instructions are going forth, and we will grow to realize what instructions are indeed from the Spirit of the Most High. Let me share with you, over 4 years ago, me and my household made a major move from one part of the United States to another, believing that we were compelled to do so by the Spirit of Yahusha. We relocated to the state of Virginia. Or to those who are native here or more astute, the Commonwealth of Virginia. We had no relatives to the location that we journeyed. However, it was a result of a vision and living instructions that I believe I had received over 30 years prior to making such a move. I'm compelled to believe there are others who have made such a move, and others who are receiving visions and dreams of making such movement. I'm compelled to believe among the set apart children of Yahuah, there are those who are getting the inkling that at some point I must relocate. I must begin movement. Some will actually move, some have moved, some have gathered, some have not. Some have come to the area not knowing why, but yet they are here. While we may not have come together in unity at this point, I believe the Most High is working his plan, executing a plan that will bring unity among those who will be gathered and cross the great ocean, known as the Atlantic Ocean. There will be others across the world who will gather at the outermost borders of their prospective countries that point to the direction of the set apart mountain of Yahuah, which I believe is the true Mount Sinai, which is currently known as Jabal al-Lawz, located in the northwest quadrant of Saudi Arabia. Let's consider this, my brothers and sisters. The scriptures don't want us worrying about tomorrow. The scriptures don't want us worrying about end times. But we have an obligation to seek to obey, to seek to discern, to seek to walk filled with the Spirit of Yahusha Mashiach, the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name. We have an obligation, and we will see that in our actions, there will be those who will be considered proactive. Just like we can look at Noah. When he built the ark, one could describe on the practical sense, he was being proactive before the rain came. Currently, we can discern at the very least that the direction we must venture or journey. For example, if we believe that our destination is the promised land, depending on where we are located, we can determine which direction to begin moving at some point in time. The distance will vary for each of us, my brothers and sisters, thereby proving it will take some of us longer than others to reach the set apart place of safety provided by Abba Yahuah, if we are indeed individuals that will be among the ranks of the final gathered. Now let's consider key words as we move closer to the physical proof of a final exodus. Who, what, when, where, and how are these words important? Well, my brothers and sisters, we will not be beamed to the promised land. There will not, those who do go, without a doubt, will not be beamed. Could the Most High Father do such a feat? Absolutely. Have we seen that occur in scriptures? I don't think so. As I mentioned earlier, my brothers and sisters, I have mentioned many times that we will not be beamed. I believe it will be a step-by-step process, and we will witness the obedient children of Yahuah begin to come together. Yasharal, my brothers and sisters, have you begun to construct a plan? Do you feel the unction to begin to plan that move sooner than later? Yes, there will come a time, I believe, where cataclysmic conditions, extreme conditions will occur that will force movement, that will force us from our homes and residence. Those who did not plan, those who were more stiff-necked, those who failed to yield to the warnings or living instructions may find themselves caught in a place where they cannot escape, or caught in a congestion where it is most difficult to reach the gathering place. But know this, O Yasharal, those whom the Most High Father has chosen to fulfill his prophecies, his promises, will successfully make it. Are you prepared? I believe with all my mind, body, and soul that it will be millions of people gathered together in these final days. And I believe in those ranks, in the ranks of millions, these millions will represent a remnant. Now you may ask, how can a remnant be millions? And I submit to you, when you compare a million or millions, 10 millions to 7.2 billion, if you can do the math and look at it, you get less than 1%. That's a fragment. That's a remnant. Oh, Yasharal. I believe the Spirit of Yahuah made that clear to me years ago, and I echo these words often. I am compelled to believe there will be those among the first to move, the first to respond, some preparing intermittent places to receive others as we begin to come together. Yes, my brothers and sisters, it is time for us to consider asking these questions and consider seeking these answers, such as, where would I or where would we stay? What type of job or means of income will be needed during this intermittent travel or that great transition? What resources do I need to make any transition? What will be my or our life? What would our life be like upon moving? What should I or we move? Where? When? When should we move? When should I move? Where to? As I find myself journeying, if we find ourselves journeying, where do we go from one step to the next, from one city, from one state? For some, it may be passing through one country to the next until we reach that final destination. I believe that the two shepherds, the two final shepherds of Yasharal, are the two witnesses mentioned in Revelations chapter 11. And I believe there will be shepherds and elders who would work in conjunction with them as they are led by the Spirit of Yahuah to execute the final callings, the final roundup of a set-apart family, a set-apart awakening nation. My brothers and sisters, questions must arise, and we must, and we will find ourselves discerning the answers. Other questions: how do we determine what fellowship, camp, or what family to draw to? How do we determine which ones we should receive in our homes or on our property? Which ones are drawn by Yahuah, which ones aren't? How do we begin to adjust among what will initially be strangers to many of us? But when we find ourselves coming together, we who desire to worship and obey the Almighty Father Yahuah, we will come to realize why it is important to discern answers that He provides to us. My brothers and sisters, many of us by now have identified various skills and talents that we have, whether we obtained them through an education or non-traditional means, whether it was through the school of hard knocks or through trials and tribulations. Many of us have acquired various traits and skills and practices that contribute to the sustainability of an awakening nation. There is no task or skill that is meaningless. Each and every one of us have been tasked, and we will discern what those tasks are. Each and every one of us have recognized or will recognize specific skills that we have that can contribute to us beginning movement, beginning to come together, beginning to migrate closer towards one another and get ready for that final exodus. One of the biggest challenges, no doubt, O Yasharal, is for us to move, for people to move from their current locations. But it is necessary. And remember, my brothers and sisters, though change, though movement is difficult, it will come to be. It will be wise to begin discussing methods and or possible plans for movement as they align with Abba Yahuah's plan for the gathering of His children. The time is now to ask ourselves, what direction shall we go? The time is now to begin learning about the route in which each of us will journey before coming together as an awakening nation. Let us inquire among one another and ask one another, do you have a vision? Have you received a dream? Is it indeed from the Almighty Father? Let us remember 1 John 4:1 that tells us to try the spirits to see if they are indeed from the Almighty Father. Remember, my brothers and sisters, seeking counsel is wise, especially as it relates to set apart counsel. Who is aware of Proverbs 11:14, which says, without guidance the people fall, but in a great counselor there is safety. Some versions say in a multitude of counsel there is safety. I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, it is critical to know why seeking counsel is a good thing. It is critical to know why discussing these matters is critical. Now, we can prepare to move. Some can look for jobs in an area that you may believe the Most High is directing you, but only if you believe the Spirit of Yahuah is drawing you to that location, then begin the movement. At the very least, begin a plan to make that transition. Otherwise, be prepared. For some, it will catch them off guard, and they will find that homes they once had, they will never return to. The matter of individual planning, movement, it would be wise to begin to seek out means of transportation and establish a schedule for movement. I submit to you, at the very least, construct a preliminary plan with the need to know whatever plan is mapped out. Whatever plan you construct as you believe you are directed, it can be adjusted. We make mistakes. The flesh war against the spirit. But to have no plan at all, to have no vision at all, can lead to us walking a path of destruction and possibly even death. Individuals who fail to recognize the need to discern living instructions will discover the pain in not embracing the plan and not discerning the plan that the Most High has for us. I will pause here, my brothers and sisters, but I intend to continue this message regarding the word plan by moving to part 8b. So I'll stop here, and I invite you to please consider, pray, and return and finish listening to part B. This is part A, and I will continue with part B in a moment. So pray on these words, my brothers and sisters. There's much to continue to talk about regarding the words plan. Do you want to get filled up? Sometimes we may find redundancies reinforce, strengthen us. Stay tuned for part B. Shalom. Shalom. Shalom.